When I was in college in Tempe, Arizona, I didn't have a car. On and off, I had a bike. The first one got stolen, and the second one got destroyed when I got hit by a car, and I decided against a third one. So for the most part, I walked and took the bus for those 4 years of my life. Now, just in case you've never been to the greater Phoenix area, Tempe and the Phoenix Metro are not known for their top-notch public transit accessibility. It's a megalopolis of endless sprawl, mile after mile of pavement baking in the hot desert sun. One summer day, I had just gotten groceries at the Walmart and schlepped them all the way to the bus stop for a bit of shade while I waited for the number 72 bus back to my apartment. And the wind started to pick up a little bit, and a cloud came in front of the sun. I wondered if it was just going to be another one of those rainstorms where it's technically raining, but it never hits the ground because it evaporates before it makes it there because the pavement is so hot. Regardless, I decided I would just be grateful for the slight dip in the triple-digit temperature. And then I looked up, and I saw something like this. For those of you who have never lived in the desert, this is what's called a haboob, or as the local news described it, wall of dust. And you do have to use your WrestleMania voice anytime you say wall of dust. And that's pretty much what it is. It's a giant wall of dust that's part of a weather front that's moving through, often during monsoon season. And I looked up and saw that and decided that the open-sided bus shelter I was sitting in probably wasn't up to the task of protecting me from the haboob. And so I booked it as fast as anyone can, carrying several bags of groceries when it's 115 degrees out, which is not particularly fast, I'll be honest, across the way to find somewhere to ride out the storm. I managed to make it about halfway across the Walmart parking lot when the storm caught up to me. Wind gusts up to 60 miles an hour and dust stinging my eyes, making it impossible to see. I wondered if I should just abandon my bags of groceries, but I didn't have enough money to buy more. I wondered if this was how I would die, mowed down by some soccer mom's SUV in the haboob in the Walmart parking lot. Finally, I made it through the doors and sat down on a bench next to the customer service desk to eat the pint of Ben & Jerry's that I had decided would be too melted if it made it all the way to my freezer. At some unknown future, I was like, if this has been a near-death experience, I'm just going to eat the ice cream now. With a disposable spoon I borrowed from the subway inside the Walmart. Not the afternoon I had planned for myself. When storms come to us, when storms come for us, we so often look for stability, certainty, something to anchor us, to help us root where we are and weather the storm that way. We seek a rock to cling to. But as I was sitting in that bus stop and facing the wall of dust, we don't have to look at that anymore. I realized I didn't put a exit cue for the slide in there. Just think about that wall of dust for the whole sermon. Right, but as I sat at the bus stop and faced that, there was never really a choice. I could not stay put. And so often in life, staying put isn't really a choice. We can't stay put. We can't not act. But that doesn't stop us from trying. When my older brother and only sibling died after living through several years of complex treatment for a brain tumor, he was 31 and I was just about 27. And even though we all saw his death coming, right, terminal diagnoses are reliable like that, I could not have prepared myself for what it felt like to suddenly have the most consistent foil in my life disappear. Older brothers are reliable like that. Mostly, I couldn't have prepared myself for what it would feel like to try to keep moving forward with my own life in the wake of his death. The inertia of grief was so strong, like an enormous energy propelling me to keep things exactly as they are, so that I could cling to the last few threads that I had of his life. As some of you know, I am stubborn, just a little. And I figured at that time in my life that if I just anchored myself with enough stubbornness, I could just stay still and ride out the storm of grief, remaining functionally the same. And if you are laughing in your mind at how delusional that is, you should. That was how I thought hope was showing up for me in that moment, that if I had hope for the future, I should just refuse to give in to despair and stick where I was. But anyone who has been there knows that there is an expiration date on stubbornness as a strategy to move forward after loss. My particular number came up at a movie theater in Cheyenne, Wyoming, where we were living after my brother died. And we had gone to see the release of the latest Star Wars sequel. I think it was episode 8. I've lost track. And my brother was a massive Star Wars geek. Like, in the little niche where his urn is, there's a tiny Boba Fett statue. Like, that's how serious it was. And so as soon as the iconic Star Wars, right, the John Williams Star Wars theme music started blaring through the speakers, and 40 feet wide, the story starts scrolling across the screen, those white letters against the starry sky, I lost it. Big, ugly cry. Just the whole bit. I was so glad it was dark. Please let there not be members of the church I serve in this room right now, I thought. Because all of a sudden, my carefully constructed anchor had dissipated, and there was no denying it. This was a Star Wars movie that my brother would never see, which violated every detail, every rule of my meticulously maintained denial about how much everything had changed. When we treat hope like an anchor, we eventually end up drowning along with it, broken by the undeniable truth that even if we hate it, things are changing around us and we cannot stop it. What I needed was not hope like an anchor. I needed hope like a lighthouse, a beacon, something to show me that I could steer myself out of the storm rather than stay stuck in it. I needed a vision of what life without my brother could be. Because just refusing to succumb to despair is not the same thing as hope. That's stubbornness. But hope is vision. Vision not like seeing, but vision like the ability to imagine that a different world could be possible. And hope like that is what I see in the story we tell and retell and remix so much at this time of year. That story begins when the angel Gabriel tells Mary that she is going to have a baby that will change everything. And anyone who has ever welcomed a child into their home knows that it is delusional to think that a child won't change everything. And Mary's response in the story as it gets told and retold is not to seek an anchor, to cling to the way things are right now. Instead, her response is to say that God is a feast for the hungry and a companion in grief, and that God will humble the arrogant and turn unjust thrones to dust. She says yes to that vision that surely sounded pretty impossible for her people, living as they were under the crushing cruelty of the Roman Empire. And this future that Mary describes, this unfolding of love made real, this visionary declaration that a better world is possible, as Unitarian Universalists, we know that this good news is not contained to this one story in one book, to this one mother or this one baby, only to the time and place that we mark each December. We know that we make the story of hope, the story of love unfolding against the odds, real. We make it real. We make it real every time one of us finds a way forward out of grief that is threatening to drown us. We make it real every time we envision a world without empire. We make it real every time we feed the hungry and welcome the stranger and open our hearts and our doors to neighbors who have been cast aside by the powers that be. We make it real every time we tell this story and let it change us. Not with miracles of virgin births and angels, but with the miracle of vision against all odds. But this year especially, 2025, this year of deportation squads and sending starving children bombs instead of food and denying trans kids medical care and loss upon loss? This year of new life and neighbors who refuse to abandon each other and first breaths and first steps and first loves? This year, I am letting hope stake its claim on me because I know that trying to anchor in the way we've always done it is like trying to ride out a haboob in a flimsy bus shelter. It's not going to work. You can try. It's like trying to pretend that someone you love didn't really die even though you were there for their memorial service. And so this year, even in these months of dark and cold, I am looking instead to the horizon to see what is breaking there and letting that be the rock that I will cling to. This year, when we retell the story of a young mom who has everything stacked against her, this year, when we get to the part where she says that what's coming is not just a baby, but a hope that belongs to each and every creature in creation. This year, when she says yes to her vision, I'm saying yes too. I am saying yes to the hope that takes me further, frankly, than I would really rather go, because it means that I have to drop the anchor of uncertainty and leave it behind. Or drop the anchor of certainty. I am saying yes to hope that cracks through my cynicism and my despair, not with otherworldly or supernatural magic, but with the visionary love of ordinary people. I am saying yes to believing in a future that seems impossible today. Because given the world we live in every day, that we wake up and choose to love each other and love this world is already a victory against the odds. Never tell me the odds. Hope has staked its claim on me, and I am saying yes. May it be so.